Thursday, January 1st, 1987. This is a Talking News Retrospective.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Talking Ginger, and this is the News Retrospective for Thursday, January 1st, 1987. It was such a bad fire, they still don't know how many people died in it. 42 bodies have been recovered so far. And the governor of Puerto Rico said the fire that wrecked the DuPont Plaza Hotel in San Juan yesterday might very well have been deliberately set. We have two CBS News reports from San Juan. First, here's Peter Van Zandt.
One by one today, the charred remains were removed from San Juan's DuPont Plaza Hotel, victims of what some top government officials believe was an arson fire. Investigators say inside the hotel's burned-out casino, the dead were found in a macabre setting.
You said that people were sitting in chairs. What other positions?
Playing on the tables of the casino.
They got all over, one on top of the other. They're cramped up. There's about 25 of bodies right on one on top of the other.
In addition to the dozens who died, more than 100 were injured, caught in what one survivor called a hellish nightmare.
Put your hand on the top. Okay.
Your brother's okay.
Survivors say the death and destruction could have been avoided, that telephoned warnings went unheeded. Some guests say bomb threats were phoned into their rooms hours before the fatal fire, threats that hotel management told them to ignore.
This could have been all avoided, in my opinion. There was people that called the rooms and saying that there was going to be a bomb going off, and nobody did anything about it. Nobody was notified about nothing, but these people knew this was going down.
Officials tonight are investigating those claims. The injured have filled San Juan's hospitals. 18 remain in critical condition tonight. Many were injured when hotel guests panicked. Ed Cohn of Fairfield, Connecticut, was trampled.
I guess I have 2 fractures in the right leg and 1 fracture in the left leg. And I have a 50% fracture in the spine. You just can't move, can't walk.
Hundreds of hotel guests tonight are still without a change of clothes or any money. No one is being allowed back to their rooms, but most say they're lucky to be alive.
If we had not been awake, smelled the smoke, taken action ourselves by covering our faces with wet towels and gotten out on our own, we would have perished.
Tonight, forensic experts are trying to identify the dead. Investigators are combing through the burned-out casino level of the hotel, trying to determine whether claims the fire was deliberately set are true. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Was it arson that sparked the worst fire in Puerto Rico's history? The suspicion is based on several small fires that had been discovered in recent days by security personnel. The hotel was in the midst of a bitter labor dispute with its Teamsters employees. A union meeting had ended just before smoke and flames engulfed the lower floors.
In the casino, the word was passed out minutes before the event that certain people there should leave because something was going to happen.
And it did. Witnesses claimed several explosions ripped through the lower floors. The U.S. Attorney in Puerto Rico said obviously what happened was not an act of God. The union says its members did not do it either, and this afternoon offered a $15,000 reward for information about the cause of the fire. Teams of investigators from the FBI and the Treasury Department flew in from the United States to look for the answers. The heart of the DuPont Plaza operation was the ground floor casino, which was full of tourists. Most of the bodies were recovered there. Investigators want to find out where the explosions came from and why so many people were trapped inside. One casino employee said the manager, as he had done in previous fires, closed the casino doors at the first sign of smoke to avoid disrupting the gamblers.
He gave orders to close the door, but he didn't know it was going to be so big. He died also.
The casino did not have a sprinkler system. The law does not require it. But hotel guests complained that there was no alarm and no warning to get out. Guests also complained that the hotel had not warned about union problems, but the union had. A radio commercial paid for by the union warned San Juan residents that the DuPont was not the place to go New Year's Eve. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, San Juan.
There's a long history of hotel fires that caused great loss of life. The worst was the Weinkauf Hotel fire in Atlanta in 1946, in which 119 people died. The building had no fire escapes. CBS's Terry Drinkwater looks into the question of hotel fire safety, or rather the frequent lack of it.
High-rise hotel fires are often such tragic killers, experts say, for two basic reasons. They spread rapidly, small blazes becoming infernos, filling vast areas with deadly smoke. And many hotels do not have adequate routes to safety for those trapped. In 1980, at the Las Vegas MGM Grand Hotel, 84 died. Then, as now, a fire in a skyscraper is the hardest kind to fight.
It's like a vertical city. Everything is straight up and everybody's stacked on top of each other. And it's like a roasting pan, I guess, at the bottom. A fire goes up.
At the MGM, noxious smoke spread through air conditioning ducts. Flammable carpets were also sighted. There and in many other fires, plastic furniture burned.
Once they do ignite, they are responsible for giving off large volumes of toxic fumes and gases.
In design of the newest hotels, the emphasis is on prevention and quick detection. Computers and TV monitoring systems checking all the floors. Fire safety devices are as apparent as the clean towels.
As you can see, we have the smoke detection in the room as well as sprinklers throughout the room.
And heat detectors everywhere, too. High-tech grease cleaners to prevent kitchen fires. Fans keep smoke from the stairwells, a main escape route.
This fan would kick in automatically and pressurize the stairwell.
In many cities, it has taken a major disaster like this one in Los Angeles 4 years ago to force changes in building codes. Fire chiefs agree the codes must be tough.
It requires the elected officials to pass the ordinances, requires the building management to implement those, the fire department well-trained, and then the public also to be aware.
In Puerto Rico, the codes are not as strict, and they are not uniform there or here in the United States. They vary greatly from one city to another, from updated to ancient, from safe and secure to dangerous and deadly. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Later on tonight's News Retrospective, students demonstrating for freedom in China battle with police in the heart of Beijing. And if your New Year's resolution is to go on a diet this year, we offer the story of one man who found it easier to start in the Super Bowl than to lose weight. Authorities in China have let students know repeatedly that they've had enough of demonstrations for freedom and democracy. But students in Beijing clearly have not had enough. They started 1987 with an audacious protest. CBS's David Jackson reports.
The one-month-old student movement for democratic reform today reached the very heart of Chinese communism, Beijing's Tiananmen Square. About 1,000 protesters singing patriotic songs defied a government ban and broke through a police cordon around the politically sacred ground, the site of the Great Hall of the People and Chairman Mao's mausoleum. They're chanting, "Long live democracy and long live freedom." They appear to be very loosely organized, and some who study with them say their goals are vague.
They don't have a very clear idea of what democracy actually is. The only thing they know is China, as it is now, is not a free country.
Today is the first time in more than a decade since the end of the brutal Cultural Revolution that the Chinese capital has seen such open defiance of the law or heard such vocal criticism of the government. Police cameras took pictures of as many as possible for identification later. Before order was finally restored, several were pulled from the crowd for interrogation now. The students are finding out that here, demonstrating for more freedom often gets them less. Late tonight, demonstrations continued at Beijing University, angry students demanding the release of their jailed classmates. The reform-minded government of Deng Xiaoping does not want the world to have an ugly image of politics Chinese style. But at the same time, authorities now are sure to crack down, to redouble efforts to prevent this sort of demonstration from ever happening again. David Jackson, CBS News, Beijing.
Two explosions in rapid succession blew the front off an apartment house in Dublin today. Rescuers recovered 2 bodies and were looking for 3 other residents still unaccounted for. The police said a strong odor suggested the cause of the explosions might have been a gas leak. Soviet state radio offered a delayed broadcast today of President Reagan's New Year's greeting to the Russian people, but not all of it. An indirect reference to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan was cut by Soviet censors. The original version of Mr. Reagan's message was jammed by the Russians as it was beamed out yesterday by Voice of America. The censored Soviet version was aired without notice and before many Soviet citizens were even awake. CBS's Brian Andrews reports from Moscow tonight that the Soviet economy soon will feature an edited version of another Western concept, private enterprise.
Just off a side street in Moscow, wedged in an alley, a mechanic pounds on the bent left fender of a Zhiguli sedan, while the car's owner paces nervously, hoping our news camera will go away. The private transaction here is for cash, the practice completely illegal, and absolutely everybody knows about it. In fact, much of the Soviet economy couldn't function without work just like this. From freelance auto repair to street corner hand-sewn dresses, the Soviet consumer depends on gray market or black market goods and services. The practice has a name, Nalieva, meaning on the left, and is so common, the goods so superior, that the Soviet government is about to make it legal. The Soviet parliament has voted to legalize freelance private work as of May 1st next year. Citizens will be allowed to freelance only after working at their normal state jobs and must pay an average 13% income tax. For many citizens, the new law is the first tangible signal the government is serious about economic reform and comes as a relief to anyone who has waited in line for service work.
Maybe it will help the man who wants to work to make extra money for his family. And of course it helps us too.
Soviet officials are trying to downplay what a fundamental change this is after decades of branding private work as selfish and unnecessary. Under Soviet communism, love of the state, not the love of money, is supposed to motivate the workforce.
The changing law won't change the Soviet economy very much. It will just legalize what happens on the street anyway. And the Soviets know they will have headaches collecting taxes from entrepreneurs, like the private taxi drivers who have years of experience skirting the law. For many Russians, legalization will just take some of the delicious mischief out of doing business as usual. Street corner hawkers won't risk arrest for profiteering anymore. Now, they'll just be tax evaders. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Moscow.
West German Chancellor Helmut Kohl sat down at home last night to watch himself on television delivering a taped New Year's speech. He knew right away that something was wrong when he wished the nation a Happy New Year 1986. In fact, it was last year's taped address. One of the German networks broadcast the entire speech in which Kohl reviewed the events of 1985 and looked forward to last year. The network said it was a terrible accident. The government said it was scandalized. A spokesman for the opposition party said it didn't make any difference because the chancellor's speeches all sound the same anyway. We'll be right back.